most of us walk around unconscious at certain points of our lives. We're just like work, things, school, blah, mother, kids, husband, don't eat, repeat, repeat, repeat.
Welcome to Mama's Playground, where we talk about parenting and all things life. This is Darlene.
And this is Monica.
So, Monica, this is the end of the month, our last episode, where we've been talking about everything that has to do with mental health, because it's been Mental Health Awareness Month. We've talked about anxiety, social media and the effects that it has on mental health, and toxic relationships. But today we're going to end in a lighter note. Tell us about it.
Yes, super excited. So, okay, guys, whoever's listening or who's listening, this episode is going to be more lighthearted. We're going to bring on a special guest, which I'll talk about briefly in a little bit before we introduce her. And this is an episode, I would say it's a more empowering episode, right? The other ones were a little bit more, on the mental health, a little bit more down, I want to say a little bit more drab, but I hate to say that word, but it is. So in this one, we wanted to focus more on basically a solution for us women, something that you can do or, to kind of help you to get unstuck from feelings of, like, let's say, depression, anxiety, feelings of not feeling worthy, so on. So I just wanted to remind you ladies out there that are listening, this particular episode, again, because we're targeting it more to an actual solution of something that you can do, we want to remind you that any changes you want to do in your life, you want to do it. You're the only person that can do it. And we discussed this on the anxiety episode. You are the only person that can help yourself. And I think that once you realize the full control that you have in your life, you know what I mean? That you can alter things and that you can, if you really put your mind to it and you really put the work into it, you can change whatever's going on, or let's say the inner child in you.
Yes.
That has trauma and all that stuff.
Exactly, because many times these are traumas or these are issues, situations that we've had since we were kids. Do you ever talk to your inner child, to little Monica?
Oh my God. Little Monica has, let me tell you, I had a good upbringing. I have great parents and all that. But little Monica was a little angsty and all over the place and this and that. So she continues to be like that in adulthood. And I have certain things, obviously, that we discussed in our last episode that, I try to work on and so on. But sometimes I go back to things that happened to me in the past. Certain things que me marcaron, let's say, in Spanish, that actually had a huge impact on my life and made me who I am today. So yeah.
Which you are beautiful.
Oh,
but,
thank you.
It's funny because my husband, he always talks to the older Fabian. He says, wait, when we have an argument, I need to talk to me in 30 years, which is funny, but interesting. But my case, I do talk to little Darlene.
Oh,
I do. I don't know. I had such a beautiful childhood, and when I'm going through situations of stress or something like that, I try to go back there and I tell her, Mamita, everything's going to be okay.
Definitely. And again, we're the only ones that can heal ourselves. But you know what's good? Getting help to be able to heal ourselves. I think sometimes it's very hard. Excuse me, I think I stuttered there. I think sometimes it's very hard to do it on your own. Sometimes you need that support. You need somebody pushing you. You need somebody reminding you sometimes how great you are and the potential that you have in you, which again, you'll see with our guest, what she has to offer. So I just want to put out there, what does healing your inner child mean? Because that is basically what we're going to be tackling today. Your inner child, and I'm going to read this from somewhere that I took. I can't remember what was the article, but it says, your inner child is a part of your subconscious that has been picking up messages way before it was able to fully process what was going on. And this is mentally and emotionally. It holds emotions, memories, and beliefs from the past, as well as hopes and dreams for the future. Now, saying that, lots of times we pick up in our childhood of negative things, and it goes throughout our lives, and it makes us who we are. It makes us, choose certain relationships. It makes us, it has a lot to do with who we are today. And this is where our special guest comes in.
Yes, because then this is when we ask ourselves, like, what can we do to unblock this standing energy that holds us back to being
Or stagnant.
To have the life that we want to have. Because when we don't deal with these past issues, it can affect our current relationships with our spouse, with if we're holding grudges with our family, with our parents, and then we can pass that to our kids. So
Yeah, and in motherhood,
Yes.
forgetting about oneself.
Yes.
So let's because you and I will keep rambling on forever.
So
we could talk on forever.
To talk to our guests.
So I want to introduce our next guest. I've known her for many, 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 many years. We've seen each other in many different aspects of life, which is crazy to say. She's coming in from Sweden, so she's actually joining us from Sweden. So I thank her for that because it's a big time difference. But she is an author. She is a yogi. She is a woman embodiment coach. And she's going to explain a little bit more about what all that means. So drum roll. I'm going to do it. If there's an echo, I'm sorry, but I had to do it. Her name is Fiorella Garibaldi.
I love her name.
Welcome, Fiorella.
Woo-hoo. Hello. Thank you for joining us. You're in Sweden, which is 6 hours later. So thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be with you ladies today. Finally, I know we've been planning to meet up and finally we made it. So thank you for that introduction. I'm happy to be here with you.
Thank you. Us too.
Thank you.
You look beautiful, by the way.
I know.
Thank you.
Your skin is glowing. I don't know. You got to tell me what light you're using or I don't know. Anyways.
So, a little bit of you. Where are you from? Because you live in Sweden now, but where were you born?
Yes. Well, I was born in Peru. And then I moved to Miami where I met Monica. I moved to Miami when I was 10 years old. And I spent most of my life there. And then I fell in love. And because of love, I moved to Sweden. My husband is Swedish. And now here I am.
The things we do for love. But that's great. You could have ended up in another country. You're in a good place.
It's not about place to end up, actually. I have to say that it's a very welcoming place. Very different to what we're used to back in Miami.
Definitely.
But also very beautiful because of the weather. I've learned so much through nature and the weather here, like because of the weather and the long winter, like just it has deepened my connection, to myself and giving me a lot of time to even grow even more, So
you've been working on yourself for a very long time already. It's funny because it's crazy. I've known you for many, many, many years. You started as a yoga coach. I mean, tell them a little background on you because you didn't come from this. You came from you're super creative. You came from the television industry and that's how we know each other. So.
Exactly. So I was actually a costume designer for telenovelas back in Miami. That's what I did. That was like my whole life, basically. And I guess how I ended up here was because as much as I love my job and it was very creative and very awesome and very beautiful, after so many years, it was very challenging. And I noticed that the stress that I was having from such long hours and, a lot of things, and also my heart not being fully in it anymore. I realized like one day, like my hair was falling and I was like, oh my God, I need to do something. Like I really need to, figure out what do I want to do? Like, is this it or something else? And that's how I ended up going to yoga classes and I fell in love with yoga. And then I became a yoga teacher, did a couple of trainings, and it's almost like one thing has led to the next, to the next, to the next, because it has been like a stepping stone to the next thing and the next thing. And I'm very curious. So I love learning new things. And that's how I ended up now where I am.
And your hair looks beautiful.
Your hair's not falling out anymore.
It's not falling out anymore.
It's interesting what you said, how nature helped you compared to probably being here in Miami. That humidity kills me.
I love Miami, and I miss it a lot sometimes. And it's such a beautiful place. It's so warm. It's so light. It's fiery,
Latino.
It's like very alive. Latinos. It's like, I love that. But I realized when I moved here that I needed to befriend the weather here, which is a very long winter and very dark. And I realized okay, I need to become friends. Otherwise I'm going to hate it. And I'm here. So I need to accept that I'm here. And it's really giving me the space to connect to the cycles of the earth, which is also, as women, we go through these cycles, our inner winter, our springtime, our summers. our fall. So we have this as women every month, just through our menstruation, through our period. So, but when I was back in Miami, it was really hard to understand this concept because we're always in the summer over there.
And you
Yes.
love the summer. This is the girl that would spend her days at the beach. So it must have been a shocking change for you to go to the winter, you know, and have like dark all day long. And
But right now we're talking, and for you it's 8:00, 9ish,
and it's daytime, no?
Daytime.
And it's daytime because we are like extreme. So now it's gonna go into summer, but now it's not. It's gonna be light, like almost till maybe 2, 3 a.m. It never really gets dark anymore. So it's really fun to be able to shift also and to notice physically how you can feel the seasons here. You know, like you can really feel when it's winter. You go in, you go in within yourself. You do more of that inner work. You're in that darkness, in that inner winter, in that mother soil, the darkness, like that womb, you know, and then you really get to do the work. And then when spring comes, it's like, whoa, I'm feeling the aliveness of the earth. Like literally, like everything is blooming. We are blooming. You can feel it. You know, there's something so beautiful to experience, something that I didn't experience in Miami, for example.
Yeah, and that's
So
why many people get very depressed around winter time.
So
it
for
could be
you,
very
for you probably had to do, again, you did a lot of work while you were there. I wanted to, because we're bringing you on and I want to, you know, appreciate this time that we have together. I wanted you to tell our listeners a little bit about what you do, how you really well, now we know that you just were feeling unsatisfied in, you had done the designing of the costumes and all that for telenovelas for such a long time that I think, you probably felt like an emptiness. There was an emptiness inside of you and you went searching for something more deep and more fulfilling, I want to say.
And that's something very common in that industry, entertainment industry.
No, it's, and again, it's very, well, no, we know that. Let's not even get into that because that's a whole other topic. Yes. But like with Fiorella,
we can talk about that.
Well, or we can talk about that, yeah. Pero I want you to tell the people that are listening, like how you got into that, what you do, and all the certifications and all that you have. Because I know you've done a lot of classes. I know you have certifications, and I know you've helped a lot of people, especially women.
Yes. So for example, like I was saying, I was like in a place where like I seemingly had it all that I wanted. Like I had a house, I had a nice car, I had the job, I had the good paying job, I had the fun and all of that. But you know that feeling when you like wake up and there's an emptiness, like that you can feel it like in your gut and you're like, you know, there's a little partying, there's a lot of people around you, and yet you feel like something is missing, like something's off. So that's basically how this whole thing started. It wasn't just work, you know, it was everything, you know. And I guess maybe a lot of people get to a certain age where they start to question life, like, is this it? Is there more? You know, like, you know,
am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Yeah.
Exactly. Am I in the right place? So that's a little bit like, and then I started to realize, because this is a little bit also what got me into this self-discovery, was that I was like a lot of people in Miami, I think, like drinking a lot, partying a lot. Yeah. And then I realized like I remember like thinking one day, like I went out and I wasn't drinking, and like people would ask me like, what's wrong with you? You know, like, is something wrong with you? And I was like, that's so weird. Why are they asking me? Because I had this other personality when I drank that was like
Fiona.
Super fun.
Fiona.
Exactly.
We named her Fiona.
Are you serious? That's true?
That is so true.
Yeah.
Fiona was like my wild name. So I honestly started to question myself, like, who am I? Like, am I that girl? Am I Fiona? Am I Fiorella? Like, who am I? And that's how this whole thing like started, you know, when I started to learn about that. I had, of course, a lot of patterns, a lot of programs from childhood, from growing up, that were not allowing me to be authentic. You know, I was masking myself with alcohol, with partying, because I couldn't be me. It was too hard. Like I was afraid to express myself, to be completely authentic. So what did I do? I drank and I partied, and Fiona came out and everybody loved her and I loved her. And then I went home, but the next day I woke up super empty.
Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah, it's a kind of, unfortunately, in Miami tends to be superficial, I want to say, unfortunately, you know, and I've been here all my life, so I get it. But I can see that happening. And I saw a huge shift in you when you started doing yoga and you started doing that inner work. And I would follow you on Instagram and all that. And I was like, look at her, she's working on herself. And I saw the changes. And Fiona and this Fiorella are very completely different. You're completely different.
They are. And I understood something, like I started to realize like how much conditioning I had, like how fearful I was of rejection, of, you start to discover all your insecurities. And through yoga allowed me to connect to my body, understand where these traumas were in my body. Then I studied breath work. So I became a breath work facilitator as well. Breath work, we can deepen on that, but breath work, an amazing tool to move energy, stuff that has been stagnated in your body, and then that led to healing work, energy work, coaching. Yeah, so many things. So, but basically it was that, like, literally that question of like, who am I? Like, am I her? And to be honest, now I realize that we have so many aspects, like Fiona is part of me. Of course, she was a little unconscious in certain things, but she's the wild part of myself that still lives within me, but in another level of consciousness that I have now.
Yeah, and you don't have to feel ashamed about that, because it's like everybody wants a black and white, but there is no black and white. We have many layers to us. So I can definitely understand that. How are you with the coaching? Because you're doing the coaching for the women's embodiment. I mean, we want to, again, this podcast is typically targeted towards parents and mothers and so on. And in your experience, like with the clients that you get, like how do you help them to get unstuck? Like what are the techniques that you use? Like we want to know more, because I think anybody can use it. I mean, you've got therapists that are licensed therapists that, sometimes it's like, through pills and all that. We talked about this as well. Like they want to, like the psychiatrist wants to give you pills so you could deal with this thing that's going on. Like you could have easily been given pills and said, you know what, you're going through a depression, Fiorella. This is a depression and you just don't, let's give you a pill so that we could subside these feelings that you're having and so on. But you didn't do that. You did the inner work. You did the hard part of the inner work to kind of shed those layers that you had been building through so many times, but still realizing, let's say Fiona is still part of you. It's not something that you're going to forget. No, she was fun. She's still in me, but there's also this other side of me, and how do you help your clients? Because I know you do a lot of, one-on-one coaching and all that. How do you help them to get to the root of themselves, to find, that person in themselves that they say, man, I have so much potential. I am so worth it. Like how do you get there?
And quick question before answering that one. What made you, once you found yourself, and what made you say, I want to help other people? Like when did you start officially?
I think I think that's, when you fill yourself up so much of something and then the next normal thing is just to give it. Mm-hmm. It's like you being of service, like you guys, like your conversations were probably like super inspiring. You're like, we need to share this, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, it feels so good to realize these things that had been happening to me, why I'm doing this, why am I still stuck in this pattern? It feels so good and so liberating to, when you come to an understanding, right? Whether it's mentally and physically, that I was like, I need to share this because I can't just keep this to myself. Like I love to be like that. I think that's what I'm meant to be now, to be,
what's
my
crazy
purpose is.
Sorry to interrupt, but you know what's crazy? That there's people, because, again, when our last episode, we talked about anxiety. You know me when I had the anxiety and all that stuff. Darlene has her own issues with like that sort of thing. And it's funny because there's people that don't really get it. Like when you talk to somebody, like I've had deep conversations with people that I think they understand. But when I'm like, okay, you got to get to your inner child. You have to like get those layers, and start shedding the layers. And they kind of stay looking at me like, what are you talking about? Is this hocus pocus? Like, is this like, witchery or something like that? I'm like, no, there is a thing that you have to work on yourself. And I think a lot of people, and I don't want to knock Miami because I'm from this, I've been here my whole life. But I guess it becomes so superficial. They don't even know like what the hell you're talking about when you're saying like, there's so much more to you than what this person is that goes to work every day, that does the 9 to 5, that goes partying on Thursdays for happy hour and this and that. There's so much more. And maybe you're feeling like an emptiness, and some find it through religion, going to church, praying, so on. And then there's others that think, oh, something's wrong with me. They get angsty. They go to the psychologist or psychiatrist. They give them pills for it. Like, because there's that unfulfilling, deep inside, there's just something that is not right, like you said, so.
Exactly. like it has to do a lot with like we walk around on automatic, right? It's like we have so many layers and programs. What I call programs is like beliefs, ideas from everywhere that we pick up. We're energetic beings, like antennas picking up constantly from especially when we're kids, right? And then you create your own story around the things that happen, right? Because we all have I believe that we all have these core beliefs. For example, there's like no, not good enough. Everybody has that. Not good enough. I'm not worthy. Who do I think I am? Like we all have that, but we all create our own story and manifest these programs in different ways, right? Some might be not good enough, and then you manifest it at work. Like it's almost like we have different lenses, and we start to see through these lenses in life. And then we all of a sudden, like we get to this point in life where we're just an automatic, like we're literally walking with all these layers around, and we're just like, I don't even know who I am at the core, because there is so much in between my true self, my core self, myself, and everything that I've been building up, that we become numb, that we don't know. Like we don't know. We're in automatically. We don't know who's talking. We don't know who's telling you you suck at this. You're not good enough at it. You're a bad mother or whatever. It's like when you don't even question, you don't have the awareness to even question whose voice is that? Like, is that even mine? Was that my dad? Was that my mom? Was that my teacher? Like, who is that? And to get that, I believe you need to be ready. First of all, you need to want it. Like you need to at least be curious about, there's something that is not clicking in my life somehow, because you can't force somebody to quote unquote heal or get help when they don't want to, it's really hard. So you need to at least be a little curious and seek, like, or at least wonder, like, there's something's going on, this doesn't feel right. Something needs to change, or I need change, but I don't know what it is.
Conscious. You need to be
Exactly.
conscious.
You need to get conscious. And most of us walk around unconscious at certain points of our lives. We're just like work, things, school, blah, mother, kids, husband, don't eat, repeat. So we're like on a loop. And I was also thinking, like, it's most people want the quick fix, like the pill, or I mean, I'm not against pills, like whoever needs to take them, they help. Exactly, take it. But at some point, you need to come back to you and realize that a lot of these things can help you in a short term, but you weren't born like this. Like you need to go back and check in and see what is the root and what is causing my anxiety or my depression, or what is it. And usually it's this longing for yourself, it's this longing to come back to you, to who you truly are, to
the foundation
you. You miss yourself.
Yeah, and sometimes you lose yourself with all these outer things that are going on
that you have.
And that's, that's a fear me and Darlene were talking about, with our kids. Like sometimes, like for instance, my thing with anxiety, that was extensive. I get scared sometimes that I'm going to pass that on to my kids because they're sponges. And then you get fearful that you're going to, excuse my language, you're going to fuck them up somehow. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're going to go ahead and you're going to put all these things onto them. And then when they grow up, they're going to look back and go, they're angsty or they're this, and you're like, oh my God, that's my doing. That's my doing.
Was like that. They'll grow up and say, oh, my mom was like that.
We have it. So how do you, when you have your clients, that are working with you on one-on-one coaching, how do you start peeling the layers? Like, how do you get them to start peeling their layers?
Yeah, well, for me, it's very important to bring people into their bodies and into presence. Because when you're in the future thinking of what the hell is going to happen, and you're worrying about the future, or you're stuck in the past loop, you're not in your body and you're not present. So I love to work. That's why I love the breath and any like embodiment practice, to bring people in this moment right now, into the feeling, into the sensations, because most people are afraid to feel. They're afraid to sense what's going on. Like, I mean, if you ask somebody, like, for example, doing breath work, me, my husband and I hold group breath work sessions when we breathe in order to move energy. And a lot of people get sometimes scared because since you're not we breathe like most of us not right during the day. When we do activate our breath, which is this life force and power that comes in and moves around stuff that has been buried there from when you were 5 years old or 10 years old, it's going to come out and you're going to feel it and you're going to sense it. And a lot of people freak out at that moment. They're like, oh, no, I don't want to feel that. I'm going to stuff that back in the closet.
Let me go get a drink now.
Yeah.
Let me go get 5 drinks now, be drunk, and like I forgot about it, you know. And that's exactly. a lot of people's things. I wanted to tell Darlene,
people that are not ready probably for that.
I want to say a little quick story here now that you mentioned that. You know, I went to one of your breathwork sessions in Miami when you were here. I brought 2 friends of mine, okay? Oh my God, George is gonna kill me when I say the story, but you know, I have to.
You just said the name.
I said that. Oh, but I love him. If he ever listens to this, is a mama's playground. But he'll, you know, nobody knows who George is. There's a lot of Georges here in Miami. But
Jorgito,
anyways,
let's say Jorgito.
when we brought him, I remember, I'll never forget. I mean, these people her and her husband had like 50 people in this room laying down. We were in like some place in Miami. I can't remember, Plant Miami or something. You were doing something there.
Sacred
like we're by sacred space, okay? And we're laying down on this mat. And I go to my friend, come on, let's go. This is going to be so cool. It's kind of like yoga. I had no clue what I was getting into, okay? All of a sudden, she's like, no, this is just like breath work. And by the way, Elizabeth, which is a good friend of ours, she's like, I don't want to go to that. I'm scared to go to that. So imagine, we're laying on the floor and I have George next to me and I have my other friend Camila next to me and we're breathing. And all of a sudden my hand starts to like do this. It was like cramping, like literally like this. I couldn't move my hands, Darlene. I don't know how to explain it to you. It was the weirdest thing. Again, this is not Santeria, you guys. This is not like the exorcist crap. No, it's not that. It's
and
like,
it's not arthritis either.
And it's not arthritis either. But it literally like my hands were like arthritis at them. And I'm opening my eyes. I'm like, oh my God, my hands. I can't move my hands. I felt tingling everywhere. But when I opened my eyes a little bit, I see Fiorella bending down with my friend George, talking to him. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on? He literally had like a panic attack, or he had like what was like I don't want to say a panic attack. It was like sleep paralysis. Like he was going so deep. The symptoms were kind of the same. And when we finished, he goes, Monica, that was the craziest shit ever. A lot of shit came out to me. My other friend goes, her mom passed away. She's like, I could feel my mom. She's like, I had recollections of things when I was a little girl, things that happened to me, traumas that I have. And she was crying,
wow.
And it was literally getting to the root of things. It's a little scary. But like Fiorella says, like, I get it. Like you have to confront these things from your past.
You have to be ready. Many people are not
ready. Yeah.
I'm ready. Does that help with phobias? No, seriously.
It could help. I mean, a phobia, it's really like I've had people with phobias, and what we usually do is like phobia to what energy are you having? Because the phobia is usually to an energy. It's not really the actual thing that you have the phobia to. It's the phobia to an energy, something that you relate to that thing, or to it activates that in you.
Maybe something that happened in her childhood or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
That she has no clue about.
Yeah, I know something happened because. Again, and we've talked about this before, I have a really bad phobia of lizards. And I think people will laugh like, oh, they're not going to do anything to you. But it's bad, like my heart. I get tachycardia and I start sweating. She panics. And it's really, really bad. And I didn't know when it happened exactly. And my friend recently, she told me, oh, remember when we were roommates and we opened the door one time and when we closed it, there was a lizard, and kind of when we closed the door, like we cut it in half and the tail kept moving. And I said, I don't remember that. And she said, you don't remember? Darlene. And she looks at me like, what? You don't remember? And she said, that was traumatic. Like, you really don't remember? And I said, no. And then I'm like, oh, maybe. And I honestly don't remember it happening. And that's probably the reason why I have this phobia now. So we gotta talk. We gotta talk.
It could totally help. Of course, when something is traumatizing, what do? It's like our mind blocks it because it's painful. So we don't want to relive the pain and the trauma. That's why a lot of people who have been abused, sexually abused, or whatever kind of abuse, sometimes they don't remember. And during these therapies or breath work, whatever, they start to, remember and get memories. Sometimes they're like, oh, this happened to me, it's like, and then your brain is just trying to protect you. Your mind is like, we're just going to erase this so that you can continue to live. And it's a great thing because it's keeping you safe. But of course, at some point, it does come out when you're doing this type of work. so that you can actually heal it, but from another place. Because maybe when you were 5 and that trauma happened, you were not going to be able to understand this, so your brain is like, it's okay. We're just going to cover this and we're going to leave it for later. The problem is that sometimes people leave it for never, and it never pushes up, but you on the back, you're still run by the energetics of it, by the program. And you're like, I wonder why I have such a, I don't know, phobia to men, or I wonder why I can't experience this and that, or things that are still like the threats that still hold to your trauma, Yeah.
Is there any case in particular that you finished with that person and it was like, wow, like a great breakthrough?
Yes. Well, my God, I've been so many. But I think I mentioned to you ladies the other day that I talked to you that we had this this client that came, and he had a background story of a lot of abuse, a lot of sexual abuse, like crazy. So of course, what he did was go in through his teen years with a lot of drugs to mask, to numb the pain, because it was very horrific things that he went through. And drugs, alcohol, even went to jail to it. When we met him, he was in such a low state, and I remember that he started to come to the breathworks and started to do some coaching and understand, and a lot of work with the inner child, a lot of like, we need to, like, because that trauma happened to him when he was a kid. So it was like, we needed to bring the kid back and to feel safe, that it was okay to come out. It was okay to play again. It was okay to know that he was out of that trauma, but the body and the mind stays stuck there. It's like, there's still fear. The tiger's still out there and it's still going to get me. And it's always like, how do we bring him back? So a lot of breath work, a lot of coaching, a lot of embodiment. And he's a totally different person now, like helping other people. Actually, he works with people in ex-drug addicts, now helping them. It's incredible.
In that particular case, how long were you meeting for? Like, how long did this change take place for?
Okay, here's the thing. He was committed to his healing. He was like, super committed to his healing. I remember that he had done maybe a whole year of once a month breath works, and of course, like in between sessions with us. But maybe in about a year, you can actually see like, whoa, it's another place, And that doesn't mean that him or anybody else, it doesn't mean that you are not going to get a low. It doesn't mean that you're not come back. It just means that it's almost like you start to learn how to hold yourself in those moments. Like this whole thing about healing, it's like, okay, you get to expand your capacity like a mother, right? You get to expand your capacity to hold yourself when the fear comes, when the anxiety comes. Because back in the day, you didn't know how to handle it, right? Like anxiety came, you're like freaked out. Like, what do I do? Do I take a Xanax? Like, what do? Do I drink? Do I have
still
beer?
Don't know how to handle it.
Exactly. But it's like doing the work. It's like remembering that thing that you're afraid of, like anxiety usually has it's rooted a lot in fears or a fear of the future, what's going to happen. It's not in the present moment. It's more like you're in the future or in the past. And it's like when you learn to hold, it's like you hold, like, I think you said it earlier at the beginning. You said, mamita is going to be okay. Like you tell yourself that. It's almost that type of energy. It's like, it's going to be okay. Like, it's literally going to be okay. Like, I got you. I'm here. Like a mother, like, you guys are mothers. It's like, you would tell that to your kid. So it's this mothering yourself, going back to doing that with you.
I wanna like, again, put a parentheses there, so that people that are listening, it's, again, here's the key point to all of this. You have to be willing to work on yourself. And we talked about this again in the last episode. I said, for me, with the anxiety, that it was really, really bad. I could have been probably one of these ladies that stayed home all day long and never left her house at the point that I was getting to, if I didn't look for solutions besides what the psychiatrist was wanting to give me. Mind you, I didn't take pills. I just took them around with me everywhere because it made me feel better. Nobody can help you. People can help you. If somebody like Fiorella can help you with the one-on-one coaching, getting down to the root of things, peeling those layers back. But if you're not willing to do the work, it's never going to happen. And it's the same thing like with, personal trainers and all that. It's funny. Like people are like, but she's a trainer, but look, today she looks fatter or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like everybody goes through their down times. It's not that everything's going to be like color de rosas, so perfect and this and that. You're going to have your lows, you're going to have your thing, but you're going to have the techniques to work with it. Right? And that's what basically you offer.
And commitment. Like you said that your client, he was committed. So it took him 1 year. And I'm sure that with others, it's
Can I hire you
years.
to take care of her for her phobia? Because it's really bad. Like she needs to get down to the root of what this is. Like if it was a kid thing or...
Absolutely. And we don't even do any like breath work.
I get like goosebumps when I think about lizards.
Really?
Yeah.
It's also like, I mean, I also do like connection with like the person's energy or what I call the higher self or soul. And also when that opens up, a lot of this, for example, phobias, we just need to ask, and you can do this on your own, but a lot of people don't have the, haven't practiced how to make this connection. So here's where I come because I know how to do it. And it's like, we just ask and we're like, what are you afraid of? What is really the phobia here? It's not the lizard itself, it's something else. And then when you receive that answer, it's a matter of like, oh, okay, I'm aware of that, but am I really afraid of that anymore? It was a past thing and then it's gone.
Can I tell you that the work that you do, again, other people might go to a psychologist to do this, but I've been to a psychologist before. I'm not knocking it. Therapy is always a good thing to talk to somebody else. It's a great thing. But the psychologists, at least that I have ever gone to, they just sit there and listen. What I love about the work that you and your husband do is that this is actually hands-on. It's kind of like the exposure therapy that I was talking to you, that you said you don't want to do exposure therapy. It's more hands-on and it's more spiritual, where I do 1,000% completely believe that this all stems from layers that you have built. Like you said, you were never just born having anxiety and depression. You were actually probably one happy little freaking kid running around everywhere and so happy. And then all these things that happened have caused you to have anxiety, feel low, not believe in yourself. You know what I mean? So this type of work is awesome for that. Awesome. And I mean, I don't know. I know there was questions that I know you, because you don't know her as well as I do. I know everything she does, but questions
I wanted you to walk us through like one of your sessions.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I asked the person, like, first of all, like, why are they coming? What's the reason? What's the intention? A lot of people don't know, to be honest. I have to be honest. Like a lot of people sometimes are like, I don't know.
There's just something off.
Yeah,
so
like
they reach out to you not knowing exactly. I mean, I'm sure
they feel stuck.
Know what they want to work on. Yeah.
It's more like I feel like I'm stuck is such a word that is used so much. It's like I feel like I'm stuck, but I don't know what it is. And it's very interesting because when you doing a session, just get somebody sometimes to close their eyes and take a breath. Some people start bawling their eyes off because they haven't done that. They haven't even taken the time to close your eyes and feel. When you breathe, when you consciously, we're breathing all the time, but you consciously breathe, it's like you're bringing life in and you're just filling yourself up. And it's like, and when you're breathing, you're in the present moment. So when that happens, people sometimes just that, ladies, it sounds like the simplest thing. People cry and they're like, I don't even know why I'm crying. I don't even know. And it's like, it's okay. Just let it out. Like whatever that is, we don't even need to know, as long as you let it out and you give flow, you give an expression, whether that's tears or whatever it is, you give them a voice. It's as a little girl inside of you saying, shit, my mom didn't see me, or my dad bit me, or my brother bullied me, or whatever it is. We don't care about the story so much. It's more like, can we give space? Like a mom, can we give space and hold that part of you that is feeling unworthy or alone or whatever it is that you're feeling? So basically that's one of the steps, to like just get people to consciously breathe and sense. A lot of people cannot even close their eyes, to be honest. Like we have ceremonies here, and when we're like, oh no, it feels good, just close your eyes, maybe to bring you more back, into your body. And some people, you can see that they can't even close that. They don't feel safe to do that. So it's just so different, but basically like the work for us is really getting people back like here. Like, what are you sensing? And this is a question, like when you start to ask people, like, what do you feel? Most of the times, like, I don't know. Okay.
Can I ask you a question? Would you ever think, you and your husband, of doing stuff for kids, or you think this work is too, because nowadays with the kids, what they're going through, you know, a lot of stress, anxiety, fear. Sometimes they need the extra help. And then a lot of, again, unfortunately, the solution base usually here is like, okay, let's put them on something. And then these kids are walking around kind of like in space all day long, when really what they need is to get to a point of like, again, shedding those layers that they have seen or that they have created. Like, have you ever thought maybe of ever working with kids?
You know what? I haven't really thought about it, but I mean, I wouldn't see why not. I mean, I think kids are probably will respond quicker than adults, to be
Definitely.
honest, because we're so conditioned by this age. We're already like so have so much that with a kid is probably like even simpler when you do this type of work as even more as a game, you know, like at their level of consciousness where they are, you meet them there. And no, I wouldn't see why not. I haven't thought about it, but it could be
Maybe that's an
fun.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I imagine that most of the issues that we as adults have, like trying to close our eyes, like a lot of people can meditate. It's because we have so much, oh, I have to
Noise.
do this. Oh my God, okay, I'm doing this now, but in a half hour I have to leave because I have to go pick up my kid and I have to turn this in for work. And we have so many different like tasks and voices in our head that it's hard. But probably for kids, it's
Yeah, I mean that could be
easier.
something good, because
Maybe.
you know how
Yeah.
many kids I say need that help versus them going
Yeah.
to a psychiatrist and saying, "Here, just give him the Xanax and he'll be fine." Like that work, to put that work in.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they're so, I mean, I think we're all are so overstimulated now with so much. Like what I've seen a lot, like with teenagers, at least, like it's like, you know how when we were kids, at least we didn't have so much the phones when we were like growing up.
Yeah,
And
we had
and
flip
it's not like
phones.
when you're exactly when your
Amen.
parents told you we're gonna go on a trip, you actually got excited. But I feel like we like kids at this moment, or at least teenagers, they see everything on their phone. And it's almost like
They're
who
missing
cares? I
out.
see it all through my phone. Why would I want to go there? You know, it's almost like you feel like they're like also numb to life because they are the stimulation and the dopamine that happens in every click and in every scroll is like so much that it's almost boring
Yeah.
to be
In
out
nature.
of nature, whatever, you
No,
know,
and when
like
they look up, they're like, okay, let me enjoy the scenery. Oh, let me take a picture of it. Let me post it. Let me tag. Let me see who liked it. Let me see who commented. Let me see who shared it. And it's like, you missed the whole point. Look at this beautiful tree.
Yeah,
exactly, exactly. And what we need, I think what we're all longing for, kids, adults, is this connection to the other, connection to ourselves, connections to our bodies. Because what you were saying there, Ling, like, yeah, we have so much in our minds. We all do. We all have so much, especially now in this moment where everything needs to be quick, right? Like an email needs to be answered by a certain time, or a text, if you don't reply, you forgot, God forbid, you know, and it's like everything's so quick and we are so in our heads that we forget our bodies. And that's why I keep saying this, because it's such a simple practice to just come to your back to your body. Because when you're in your body, for example, for anxiety, when somebody's having or a beginning of anxiety or something, you're not in your body.
mm.
You're someplace else. You're someplace else. You're gone. You went somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So I really, for example, something really good to do if anybody, you know, suffers from anxiety is to literally like start touching yourself, like to start like,
Feeling.
you know, like
Bringing
feeling
yourself
like you're
back to now.
like, landing yourself back here now in this moment, touching your feet, massaging your feet, touching your head. It's like I'm here.
I
I'm
like
here. I'm
that.
not there. You know, I'm here. It's like coming back to this body, to this earth, to this soil. It's like because we're here someplace else all the time. That happens to me, happens to everybody. I think it's more like, okay, it happens to everybody, but what are you going to do about it? You know?
Correct.
For us mothers, I'm this week actually in particular was very rough for so many different reasons, and for you too. I remember talking to Monica and it was like and she was the same, and even my sister, I'm like, what's going on? um so what do you recommend for us as mothers, for those that are listening? What can we do in those moments when we're trying to leave the house and we have so many things to do? We have to be here someplace. We need to clean the house. We need to turn this in. We need to, you know,
And we
just the
also wanna
daily
we
tasks.
also wanna have our own time and feel like women and feel like, you know, we also have our own identity versus the chores and the kids and the
we
this
have
and
to
that.
cook, and we gotta go grocery shopping, and we need to buy the gifts because there's 3 birthdays this weekend. And then, I mean, it's just those little tasks. And then we also want to look good and stable for our husbands. And
It's a lot.
So what do you recommend for us to do, like those times when, because it happens that I'm like running around the house and my heart's beating fast, I'm shaking, and I'm like, okay, take a breather. But sometimes I feel like I need more than just like, let me breathe and count to 10.
Yeah, and I understand. And first of all, like, I mean, I'm like, I bow to the mothers. Like, I know that it's such a tremendous work that you guys, you know, do. I would say, like, along those lines, like, it's like, I think we talked a little bit the other day about this. Like, it's like you need to have time for yourself. And I know that you guys are gonna be like, but it's so hard to have time for myself. But at some point, you need to prioritize whatever time you can make for yourself, to not lose yourself in this mother role, which is amazing and it's beautiful and it's what you're in the phase that you are now. But it's like, you are a mother, but you are a woman, and you are a business, an entrepreneur. You are so many things. You are all of it. And it's like some phases or roles are going to be more emphasized, I guess, throughout your life. But it's like, how can I bring this balance into my life? You know, like, do I need to ask my husband for help? Do I need an hour a day off? Can I even have that? Can I have half an hour? Do I need to rely on, maybe I don't have to do it all? Can I not do it all? You know, like, can I ask for help?
And maybe not say yes to everything, right? Learn how to say no. We cannot make it at that time. Let's do it some other time, or
like,
kind of like
boundaries. And so important, like what you said, Doreen, is like literally take a breath. Like
a breather.
This is like a simple thing, but it's like literally like, and feel how you feel. It's like, when you're stressed, when you're in anxiety, when you're worried and rushy, you're in contraction. Your body literally is contracted. When you're in contraction, energy cannot flow. There is no flow of anything. You're like literally freezing your energy inside. So it's like, how can you like literally like,
we're going to call Fiorella and we're going to say, Fiorella, get on a Zoom with me, please. I'm having like a really bad day. Breathe with me. Remind me what it is to actually breathe. You know?
We can just take one breath together if you want.
Just okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay.
Like,
everybody here in the room, feel free to join.
Yeah. And even like the simplest thing, like imagine that the breath comes in through your root, like your perineum, like that area of your sex organs, like coming in, like you're taking in life, like all the way up to your crown. And then just a side, Let's do 2 more just like that. Inhale to the root, like just all the way up, like a snake coming up through your breath. Exhale, open your mouth, side, And doing just one last time. When you're ready, just inhale to your root, fill yourself up with this prana, with this chi, with this energy. Fill yourself up, fill. Exhale, side out, soften your body as you do. Maybe move your neck, like just 3 breaths can change and shift the energy like this.
Oh,
like,
I like that.
I do too.
I felt it. I'm like, ooh, nice.
Yeah, it's like, and imagine if you were to do this like throughout the whole day, like literally put reminders on your phone. Have you taken a breathing break?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Oh my God, you know, that is a very good idea for those listening, and I'm going to do that. Yeah.
I have like 20 alarms on my phone. That's going to be one of them. For sure.
Yeah. Don't forget coming back to your body, literally touching yourself, like sensation, like, oh my God, I missed myself. Like, I'm here. Like, I'm your mother. You're like, you are mothers, but you are your own mother too. It's like, Like,
I want to
yeah.
remind something to our listeners. If you're listening to this, especially you moms out there that are trying to do it all, because we try to do it all. That's the thing. We're trying to do it all. That is definitely a good way to kind of bring yourself back to the moment and remember, kind of like when you're going through that ADD, like, I got to do this, I got to do this. Oh my God. And you can't concentrate. The breath brings you back. And that felt so good right now doing that breath work with you just in the 2 seconds that we did it.
You know what I noticed the first time I did it? Like, you said keep going, and I couldn't. Like, my breath just came all the way to here. Then the second one a little bit more, and then the third one I was able to go longer. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
interesting.
That's interesting because that when you're in the presence and when you're in your breath, you start noticing these things, right? Oh, my breath didn't come up higher than here. And then that's a whole nother investigation. But it's like, okay, what's here? What's going on here that is stopping my breath? Is it in
Wow.
my, do I have anything going on in this chakra? Is it in my throat? It's like, it's through that awareness of that moment through your breath that you can like, that's so interesting. My breath doesn't want to go.
No.
You know what I
Higher.
mean? And then you
Yeah.
start to notice, okay, well, what's going on here? Is it in my throat? What am I not saying? Is it expression? Am I not listening to something? Am I not listening to myself? And then you can go on a whole like discovery just in this awareness of your body. What's your body doing? How's it acting in the presence of stress? Are you walking contracted? Are you opening up? Are you open to life? Or are you like closed? The way that you're sitting, like, are you like always like when you talk, like going forward, are you trying to prove yourself all the time? Or are you just like in your throne and being like, no, I don't have to prove anything, I'm just here, like,
You're owning
you know,
yourself. You own it.
own myself like a queen, almost like I'm not here, I'm not hiding, I'm here, present,
Fiore.
embodied, and like
I
that's the
want
key.
it.
Because so I'm sorry,
No,
yeah,
no, no. You go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
there's so much information out there. Like, I know that Instagram is full of people sharing their knowledge, but what you need to do is bring that knowledge to your body. Because if it just stays here as a concept, as a philosophy, as a wishful thinking, that's a beautiful quote that you read, but you're not actually walking that, you're not embodying that, there's no, I mean, it's just going to stay here and you're going to talk very beautiful, but people's authenticity, you can see it, you can feel their presence, you can feel that magnetism when they're somebody's embodied. You're attracted to those people. Like, damn, that girl is like, she's just not talking, she's like,
Her presence, her
embodied.
energy. Yeah, her energy that she gives. Fiore, I wanted to ask you. So now that we are, well, whatever, we're ending basically today, Wednesday, for mental health, the last Wednesday of the month. We want to have our listeners know where they can contact you.
Yes.
Where, what they need to do, because I know you're in Sweden and all that. Like, where can they email you? What is your Instagram page? Like, all that stuff. Like, let us know. And we're also going to put it in the content of our description, obviously, as usual, in YouTube and Spotify, Apple, all of that.
Absolutely. Well, I do a lot of sessions. Most of my sessions are online where they're one-on-one. Like, for example, for that phobia, Darlene,
Yes.
it's online. And of course, we do presence, things that are presence in ceremonies and breath work. And everything is usually like easy to find on my Instagram, which is Fiorella, my name, _ Garibaldi, Fiorella Garibaldi. And on my website, which is also my name, fiorellagaribaldi.com. And yeah, and I'm looking forward to.
So talking about your website, before we leave, I love this quote that you have. Everything you have been looking for, it's already inside of you. I love that. And I wanted to wrap up with that.
Definitely. That's a reminder for everybody
beautiful.
listening.
Yes. Thank you,
And for us.
Fiorella. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much for your time, for all this information, and we'll be talking soon.
I'm going to take you to one of her
Thank
breathworks
you.
when she does it here in Miami.
Yes, we'd love to. Yes.
When I'm
so-
there.
Yeah, you let us know. Anyways.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It was
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.